Hey all you nerds, Gabe aka Froopy Art here, and welcome back to our Gravity Falls and Cryptid-inspired region. In the previous episode, you met Moose and battled his normal type Pokemon to receive the first device component, which you can now return to the professor.
Nice work, kids. Now, I hope Moose didn't give you too much trouble. It's so good to get a piece of the device back where it belongs. Oh, and, I guess I should do some professory things, huh? You two, give me your Pokedexes. Let me see how you're doing.
You hand over your Pokedexes, and the professor beeps and boops on them.
Not bad at all. Let's say for each milestone you pass in filling out your dex, I'll reward you. So, here, take some Pokeballs. That being said, we do have a winner. It looks like Maple has more Pokemon in her dex, and on the whole, they're much stronger.
Ooh yeah, baby, #1 twin, right here. Ooh yeah, oh yeah.
Maple does a little victory dance and moonwalks smugly straight into a supply closet.
I'm okay.
Professor Pines leads you outside. He's putting up some new signs for the research shack, but he leans in to give you some advice.
Listen, kid, if you want to catch up to your sister, I can show you where to go to catch more Pokemon. Then maybe your team won't be quite so, wimpy. You know, some of the first Pokemon I caught when I came to the region are up here.
The professor adds an icon to your map, heals your Pokemon, and pushes you on your way. You start walking north, keeping an eye out for new and more powerful Pokemon. You spot some familiar species around like Tintus, Sprutama, and the rare Ittle. But it isn't until the terrain gets much more rugged that you begin getting glimpses of new Pokemon. We've got 4 to discover, so let's jump into it. Okay, so there are a number of carnivorous plant cryptids like the man-eating tree of Nubia, the Madagascar tree, and the Yateveo of South and Central America. We're going to be combining that concept with a real-life carnivorous plant that I've always wanted to see as a Pokemon, the Sundew. There's a bunch of different species in varying shapes, but they all have these little red stalks that they tip with a super sweet and sticky secretion that traps prey, and some even curl around their prey. Very neat, very cool. And since the Nubia tree in particular lures in prey with sweet treats and fruits, it felt like a perfect match. Also, a Sundew's sap is actually clear and the stalks are red, but I just had to make the drops red to give it a more delicious candy look. I get the original inspiration represented with the shiny anyway. Alright, let's go ahead and meet our deceptively nasty Canitrop, the sap Pokemon. This mostly stationary plant is able to secrete balls of incredibly sweet and sticky sap. Canitrop's aroma draws prey in where they become permanently stuck. While seemingly cute and harmless, this carnivorous plant will actually eat anything unfortunate enough to become trapped by it. Its ability is Super Sweet Syrup, and that lowers the opponent's evasiveness whenever it enters battle, and the hidden ability is Sticky Hold. It sure is cute, but you make sure to maintain a healthy distance. Wouldn't want one of these getting stuck to you after all. Continuing on, a group of massive Pokemon is shuffling your way. Now, I don't want to go overboard with Pokemon that are direct references to Gravity Falls. That being said, this episode will have 2 of them. And the first is, of course, the Manatar. We're going to expand on the Manatar a bit by making it a gym bro who has definitely skipped leg day. Furthermore, I love the idea of it either holding or looking like it's always holding weights. It took a little bit to figure out, but I landed on these metal discs kind of embedded in its hands. For the colors, I pulled in some from Greek pottery to pay homage to its mythological origins. And since it has these metal fists, horns, and nose ring, we get to slap the steel type on there. Okay, let's go ahead and meet this meathead of a Pokemon. Here is Testo, the manly Pokemon. This towering mass of muscles is focused on one thing, becoming the strongest Pokemon. Their large hands include heavy metal discs, which they use to work out and also pummel opponents with. Their hyper-focus on being strong and manly has left Testo as one of the least intelligent Pokemon in the Hoenn region. Its ability is Iron Fist, obviously, and that boosts punching moves, and the hidden ability is Anger Point. There is a big pack of Testo, so it would be a little risky to try and catch one, but you'll have to let me know if you would still try it. As you continue, you find a small pond that is completely polluted, and in the center is a new Pokemon. Time for another convergent Pokemon design. So this isn't a regional form of Magikarp, but instead an unrelated species that has evolved a similar body plan. It has different origins, but ended up being very similar to another convergent Magikarp designed by my friend Boreal. I won't give away what it is, but I'll link to her episode down in the description, so be sure to check it out. She's super cool. But back to this design. Other than being similar to Magikarp, this 2-stage will be based on the Hrollcall. I know I said that wrong. From Icelandic folklore, this is a rotting eel with sharp iron scales that infests polluted waters. I didn't think that we would find a cryptid with such a blatant type combination, but rotting and iron scales gives us the awesome steel and poison type. Let's go ahead and meet this convergent Tragikcarp, the pollution Pokemon. While it appears to be a fish, researchers have determined that the true Pokemon is the poisonous slime within. Tragikcarp fashion jagged armor from bits of metal, giving them the appearance of a Magikarp. Its biology has stumped scientists, and some have suggested that the ooze is an ultra beast, which has adapted to life in the Hoenn region. Its ability is Sharpness, which powers up slicing moves, with the hidden ability being Poison Touch. It's splashing about in the water and making things pretty gross. It is really weak, but you're still tempted to catch it, if for no other reason to stop it from polluting the area. Looking around, you see that it's even brought in like outside trash and debris. Looking through it, you do find something strange. This is a familiar figure item, and you definitely feel like you've seen this trainer somewhere before. Like, isn't he some hero in the Kanto region or something? Anyway, if you have an unevolved Idle, it seems very interested in the familiar figure. Oh yeah, we get another possible Idle evolution. And I just had to bring in one of my favorite characters from Gravity Falls. He wasn't long for this world, but who doesn't love Paper Jam Dipper? And we can also bring in, the idea of doppelgangers and other mimicking creatures from folklore around the world, but as well as I do, that it's really just about that Paper Jam Dipper. Also, I don't really care about Pokemon cries and figuring those out, but you can just picture that face making the nya 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 noises. Oh, so good. Okay. Finding the typing was a little bit difficult as I didn't want it to just remain normal type, but I think I got it figured out in the end. Okay, let's say hello to Doplob, the flailing Pokemon. It'll, who have taken a liking to a familiar figure, try to emulate it and evolve. Unfortunately, mimicking a human seems to be a bit too difficult, and they end up as this misshapen mess. Doplob have taken their wild, flailing movements and developed them into an unpredictable fighting style. Its ability is Limber, so that protects it from paralysis, and the hidden ability is Gooey. But what do you think of it? Would you evolve your Idle into Doplob, even if you may end up getting smacked by one of its noodly appendages, or hold off for another potential evolution? You're feeling pretty psyched about adding these new Pokemon to your decks. You give the area one more look over, just to make sure you didn't miss any new species, And while you don't spot any Pokemon, you do find something equally interesting. Giant footprints in the mud. They don't match any species that you've seen, and they lead off towards the snowy mountains to the west. The thought of being able to brag about catching whatever Pokemon made these giant tracks motivates you to follow them. But we'll pick up from there in the next episode. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you are enjoying this series. There is a new puzzle added to the Discord server, so check the video description for details on how to join the journal deciphering fun. Alright, I'll catch you in the next one. Later, nerds.